Welcome to this deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today we're focusing on something quite specific. It's a first-hand account.
Right. Personal notes from someone who actually went to a local commissioners meeting.
Exactly. And our goal here is really to unpack what this one person experienced, understand the claims they're making.
And maybe see what that tells us about, local government and how citizens engage with it. Or maybe don't.
Yeah, or how you might relate to it. So, okay, let's get into it. The attendee starts off, well, pretty disillusioned, writes that going to these meetings, basically 0 point.
Wow. Huh.
Because they say the commissioners don't care about any taxpayers. That's quite the opening statement.
It really is. That kind of immediate negativity, it often stems from somewhere, right? Like a history of perhaps feeling ignored.
Or seeing decisions that don't seem to line up with community interests.
Exactly. For you listening, it kind of highlights how vital it is for local bodies to show they are listening, building that trust.
Good point. So the core accusation then, building on that, is that the commissioners just don't care about taxpayer interests. Period.
It's so direct, so stark.
What does that kind of, bluntness suggest to you?
Well, the lack of nuance, maybe.
Yeah.
It signals deep frustration. We can't obviously verify it from just this note.
Of course.
But that intensity of feeling, that's definitely a key takeaway. It suggests maybe a communication breakdown.
Or a perceived misalignment.
Between the officials and the people they're meant to represent.
Okay, then there's this interesting bit. The note urges others, watch the video they post up, watch how angry they get.
Ah, okay, so they're pointing to evidence, or what they see as evidence.
Right, it's proactive. They anticipate the video will actually back up their claim about the commissioner's reaction.
Which implies they saw something they interpreted as anger during the meeting itself.
And they believe others will see it too.
Yeah, and it also kind of speaks to the role of meeting recordings, doesn't it? They become this shared record, open to interpretation.
Definitely. Moving beyond just their reactions, the attendee also claims they only represent their interests. Capital their.
Oof, that cuts deep. That accusation of self-interest.
It really gets to a core potential conflict, right? Elected officials acting for themselves, not the community.
That kind of belief, true or not, is just so damaging to civic trust.
How so?
Well, if you feel your leaders are prioritizing their own agendas, maybe personal gain, over what the community needs.
You just check out.
Yeah, it breeds cynicism, disengagement. Why bother participating if you think the game is rigged? Sort of.
Which leads perfectly into the next point, actually. There's this significant concern expressed. They will retaliate against anyone who speaks against them.
Wow. That's a heavy statement. Fear of reprisal.
Yeah, and you can immediately see how that could just shut down dialogue, couldn't it?
Absolutely. It's critical. This raises fundamental questions about, the health of public discussion in that space.
If people are genuinely afraid to voice dissent, afraid of consequences.
It just undermines the whole idea of accountability, of transparency, the bedrock of how local democracy should function.
It silences people, stops concerns from even being raised.
Exactly. Limits the community's ability to hold anyone responsible.
And then finally, the attendee wraps up with this call to action. Let everyone know what they do to you.
Spreading the word.
It underscores this desire to get their experience out there, to publicize what they saw as the commissioner's actions.
And that act itself, even if it comes from a place of frustration, well, that's a form of civic engagement too, isn't it?
Trying to create awareness.
Yeah, maybe mobilize others who feel the same way. It's an attempt to have an impact, even if it's outside the formal meeting structure.
So, wrapping this up, we've looked closely at this one person's experience, their notes from a single commissioners meeting.
And the claims are pretty strong.
Yeah.
About motivations, reactions.
Yeah, definitely strong feelings about the officials.
And what's interesting is how this single viewpoint, this one perspective, can really spotlight potential friction points.
Right. Between citizens and their local government. Which brings up a big question for you, listening. When someone feels not just unheard, but actually afraid to speak out, afraid of consequences, what does that really suggest about the state of civic engagement in that community? Think about the power dynamics.
And that constant need for transparency, for accountability.
This deep dive, looking at just one person's notes, it offers a specific window. What other questions does it spark for you about how local decisions get made?
And maybe, what's your role in that whole process? Something to think about.